Hi everybody. Well, I got a really nice surprise for my birthday. That was yesterday. And so many people wrote with affectionate greetings. It was a big surprise for me because usually I don't hear from anybody. But dozens of people wrote in and I was really grateful. I mean, it touched me. It was heartwarming and very encouraging. And I appreciate your good blessings and well wishes. I went out and bought myself a really nice present. This professional stereo microphone. So in the future, the videos will sound really, really good. And the podcasts and so on. So happy birthday to me. You know, it's really wonderful to be 70 years old and to have the benefit of a very full life of experience. You know, I spoiled myself. I never said no to myself. I did everything I really wanted to do. And I had, you know, some really wild experiences, unusual, rare experiences. And I'm very grateful for that too. And I'm extremely grateful for the chance to be able to share it with all my friends. To have a little health and happiness in old age is a wonderful blessing. And if you can manage it, you should aim towards self-realization. Because the happiness of self-realization is greater than any material happiness. And even in old age, the body is wearing out and falling apart, you'll be happy. So please take this advice, take care of yourself, and make sure that you experience this happiness too. I wanted to talk about the new series on Ribhu Gita. Ribhu Gita is a book recommended by Ramana Maharshi. He says to hear its reading is equivalent to being in samadhi. It's just as good as samadhi. And I'm having a blast doing this series. I get up very early in the morning, like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And at that time of day, I can do the voice, you know. I can't do it now, it's in mid-afternoon. But first thing in the morning, I can do the Twilight Zone announcer voice, or the movie trailer announcer voice. Anyway, it's just the thing for the subject matter, which is very deep, very profound. So please hear this on YouTube. And I also put it on my page and my Facebook profile. So you can link to the videos from there. And do yourself a favor and listen to these. It's like if there was a hypnotist doing post-hypnotic suggestion to get you to realize enlightenment, that would be Ribhu Gita. Ribhu Gita is wonderful, and it helps you cognize self-realization. Because what is self-realization really? It's not an experience. Now, if you understand this statement deeply, you will understand that it surpasses all so-called spiritual paths. Because what is a path? It's a way to get from here to there, right? But in self-realization, there is no there. There is no here either. Ideas like here and there, now and then, me and you, all these dualistic concepts just evaporate. It's hard to explain. When the mind comes to rest, then there's only silence. And once that is established, you can even engage in all kinds of activities, including writing and speaking and making videos and whatever. And it doesn't change the fundamental state So in other words, self-realization is not an experience. You know, and we see the people doing yoga, people doing bhakti, people doing meditation, following this path, that path, trying to get somewhere, trying to get to some experience. And if they get that experience, then they think, oh, now I'm enlightened. But the thing about experiences is that they come and go. An experience is something new, newly arisen. But that which has a beginning also has an end. So if you get this new experience, wow, man, I see lights, you know, or whatever it is. It has a beginning, so it will also have an end. Now, real self-realization, beyond duality, is not an experience, but a state, something which you have been always. See, that's why the Buddha and Ramana and Osho and people like that who know, they say, you have always been enlightened. You're already enlightened. There is nowhere to go. There is no path. There is no one to go. And there's no one to arrive. So, what is the need of a path if you're already there? That's why this chasing after gurus, going to groups, going on retreats, doing this process and that process, and all, they're all pretty much, I'm not going to say useless, but they're very much preliminary to actual self-realization. Self-realization is beyond all concepts, beyond all experiences. It's simply being the self that you are. And of course, the problem is we have created another self, a false self, called the ego. And the way we do that is explained in great detail by the Buddha in the Mula Pariyaya Sutta and elsewhere, where he explains how we create the ego. The ego is like a video. You know, this video is flashing on the screen at 30 frames a second. And each one of those frames is actually a still picture. But because there's so many of them coming right after the other, it gives the illusion of something moving continuously. But actually, if we break it down and we look at each frame, we see that it's a still picture and that there's actually no connection, no continuity at all. So in the same way, the illusion of a continuous ego is like that. Every perception that comes in through the senses, we add this I to it. This is who I am. And because every second there's many, many perceptions coming in through the various senses, we have the illusion of a continuously existing ego. But actually, that's not the self. Why? Again, because it has a beginning and an end. This body has a birth, and so it's also going to have a death. This idea of who I am, I, me, the ego, had a beginning, and so it will have an end. And of course, most of us will just go right ahead and create another one. Get another body, and go on another chase after so many desires and so on. I hate to say it, but that's only suffering. You can end the suffering by dropping this false self, this constant creation of the ego. And that's what authentic self-realization, the process of authentic self-realization is about. It's not a path. It's a moment-to-moment skill that we develop, actually, of just stopping this fabrication of the ego. And all other forms of self-realization are simply preliminary to that. That's where the suffering stops. When we stop creating the ego, there's nobody to suffer. Because the self is transcendent, eternal, beyond qualities, beyond experience, just being. So, actually, I didn't mean to go on and on about this. But even Gayatri Mantra, as beautiful and deep and powerful as it is still in the realm of duality, or should I say trinity. You have the ego, the world, and God. That's the basic trinity. And when we reach the self, or when we realize the self, this language is so inadequate. When we finally wake up to who we have always been, there is no more trinity. There's only unity, the self. So at that point, there's no more suffering. There's nobody to suffer. There's no more karma, because there's no address for the karma to land at. So, of course, things will still happen to the body by prarabdha karma. But if you're not identified with it, you're just kind of watching it going, that's interesting. But it's not like it's happening to you. So, this is the greatest good fortune. This enlightenment, this self-realization. So please do whatever it takes, to approach it. There's basically two approaches, through yoga and through devotion. Yoga is the path of will. Devotion is the path of surrender. They might seem opposite at first, but since the object is the same, then they're actually one. So it's really about the intent. Yeah, you can do yoga. Yeah, you can go to seminars. Yeah, you can do meditation. But do it with the intention, not of having an experience, but of rediscovering who you really are and have always been and always will be. The self, Brahman. So I just want to say one more thing, that beyond this trinity, that's actually the name of a scripture. Tripura Rahasyam. Tripura Rahasyam is a wonderful, deep, esoteric scripture, highly recommended, again, by Ramana. And it explains all these things in detail. If you want a copy, contact me and I'll send you the ebook. Happy birthday. Om Tat Sat. Om Harihi Om.